Love lift us up. Who knows what tomorrow brings? In a world few hearts survive. All I know is the way I feel. When I give, I feel more alive. The road is long. There are mountains in our way, but we share our hearts every day. Love lift us up where we belong, where the eagle cried on a mountain high. Love lift us up where we belong, far from the world below, up where the blessings flow. Some hold on to what used to be, live their lives looking behind. All we have is the here and now, our chance to be loving and kind. The road is long. There are mountains in our way, but we climb a mess every day. Love lift us up where we belong, where the eagle flies on a mountain high. Love lift us up where we belong, far from the world below, where the blessings flow. Love lift us up, love lift us up with every new day. Love lift us up, love lift us up with every new day. Love lift us up, love lift us up with every new day. Love lift us up, love lift us up with every new day. Love lift us up, love lift us up with every new day. Oh yeah.
As I know, there is only one. There is one spirit, one presence, one allness that is that divine spark inside of each of us. That divine spark of creativity. For creation within us and within all the world is God. And as I know this to be true, I know this is true of me, of you, of everyone hearing these words. So as we come home to New Dawn, as we come home to the Spirit inside, we gather to celebrate, to be with family, to acknowledge the Spirit in each other. And in that connection, we are made whole. And I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for every person here, for every person who had a hand in this service, to every person who is celebrating and connecting to their higher power in their way, whether it be a mosque, a synagogue, a mountaintop, or in jammies on their couch with their puppy. It is all one. And in that oneness, we just express gratitude. Gratitude for the knowing, for the awareness, for the love. We release this into that law that only knows yes. And together we say, and so it is. Our words of inspiration today. We're going to see if you can guess this first one. Well, my friends, the time has come to raise the roof and have some fun. Throw away the work to be done. Let the music play on. Everybody sing, everybody dance. Come on, sing along. People dancing all in the street. See the rhythm all in their feet. Life is good, wild, and sweet. Let the music play on. Feel it in your heart and feel it in your soul. Let the music take control. We're going to party, fiesta, liming forever. Come on and sing along. Once you get started, you can't sit down. Come on, join the fun. It's a merry-go-round. Everyone's dancing their troubles away. Come join our party. See how we play. Lionel Richie.
Yes.
Our second is from Sabella Gorello, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I could see the solace she discovered. Here, she could sing and dance and shout for glory among people who didn't care which pew she sat in, whose people she belonged to. They were people who yearned for one thing, and one thing only, a pure relationship with the Holy Spirit. And from our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes. Since God is all there is, the only presence, the only power, and the only mind or intelligence, when we conceive a new idea, we are thinking directly from the creativity of God. This is not our isolated, limited human personality that projects this new idea. We are merely the instrument through which this projection takes place. God is the only creator. There is nothing else besides. God is both the inventor of the game and those who play it, the author and the actor, the song and the singer. My whole consciousness is alive, awake, and aware to them. The divine influx now makes this day expansive and expressive of the creative source of all things.
Last week I told you about a spark that lives within us. I'm going to talk about it again today. That creativity spark, that energy that is within each and every one of us to create, to change, to shift, to look at the world through a different perspective. It is a part of each of us, and it prompts us to press through whatever is going on in our world today. Have you ever noticed that when you get into creative mode, that you forget about eating, and you forget about watering the plants, and you forget about all of the worries and woes and mayhem that might be going on in your world and the world around us? Because that energy to expand and create takes over. And it kind of rules us for a little bit. And I love the way that works. And some of you may be sitting here, or wherever you are, thinking, well, first of all, I'm not that talented, and second of all, and sometimes being creative is nothing more than looking at a circumstance or situation differently. So let's say you have a conversation with someone. And after that conversation comes to a close, this wonderful, wonderful replay function starts going. And you begin to think that that person was offensive, or was offended, or was abrasive, or was judgmental. And now the story unfolds. And before you know it, you have stress in your shoulders, you have a headache, you have some body stuff showing up because you have moved into this place of feeling attacked to some degree. This is where I want you to bring your creativity to the table. This is where I want you to go, whoop, stop. Let's back this up and let's rewrite that whole thing. And let's look at it from another perspective. I can look at someone who isn't doing something I want them to do, and I can say they're lazy. But because of the unique, beautiful, amazing way my children have shown up in my life, I have learned to look at that and go, oh, they're just kind of taking some time to think it over. They're going to figure out the best way to attack the task. It's that simple. So that's what we want to look at as we continue this process and this theme for this month on creativity. You see, we're not passive recipients of love's gifts. You can sit in the corner and meditate, and you should meditate. And you can and you can do that to your heart's desire. It will not produce for you a life of unicorns and fairy dust. If that is your expectation, you get to come to the realization that there's more to that. More has to come forth. We never talk about a single spiritual principle that you can go out of here and do, and that's all you got to do. The term is spiritual principles. There are numerous things that we get to tap into that help us and support us. And if you're going to dance with spirit, you have to dance with all of it. And sometimes the music starts to play, and it's not the beat you thought you were going to be listening to. And you have to shift. And you have to adjust. Shirley MacLaine said, "Dance is an art that imprints on the soul. It is with you every moment. It expresses itself in everything you do." She goes on to say this, "Dancing is the loftiest, most moving, most beautiful of the arts because it is not just a mere translation or abstraction from life. It is life itself. There are shortcuts to happiness, and dancing is one of them. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which mistakes to keep." So this isn't about a life of perfection. I don't think you've ever heard me talk about a life of perfection. I don't believe it exists. It's about trial and error and making mistakes and backing up and starting over and adjusting and shifting. That's the dance that we do. There's a beautiful, is it an Instagram thing? It's a thing. There's a beautiful thing out there on social media with this man holding this donkey singing to it. And it's just absolutely beautiful and adorable. You get to see it in a still shot. So we have this idea of the dance. And we already have an interpretation of what we think that is, what that looks like, what that means to us. And we have this amazing creature in our talk title today. It's called the donkey. And my talk title today is Dance with the Donkey, which is why I wore my dancing boots. Just in case one shows up, I want to be prepared. But let's talk about this donkey for just a moment, because metaphysically speaking, we have put the concept of the donkey into a place called stubbornness, a place where we go into resistance. That's the donkey, or the picture of the donkey, or the idea that we have been taught for so many years. And that's not quite true. Yes, they can be stubborn, And when you are stubborn, you are untrainable. You're not untrainable because you're not intelligent enough to learn. You're untrainable because you refuse to see it another way. So you become stubborn, untrainable, undisciplined. They say donkeys are undisciplined, and this is simply not true. We also, because I did some research, because you know I'm going to do that, we also know that the donkey is persistent. It can endure circumstances and situations that other creatures that we use for work cannot. It can travel long distance on rocky roads, climbing mountains and hilltops. The donkey also is a symbol of strength, perseverance, and determination. There are many references to donkeys throughout the Hebrew scripture and the New Testament scriptures of the Bible. They offered transportation, they offered value. Horses, on the other hand, represented war because they were used for soldiers in many times, and they pulled chariots in many of the stories that we see and hear about. Whereas the donkey was designed to help carry someone from one place to another or carry a load. In fact, there was a law that protected the owners of donkeys from loss that was caused by the death or injury of their donkey, which demonstrated even more the value that they had. I think we have discounted and discredited this creature for way too long. I want to talk about this idea of stubbornness versus determination. This is be determined, not stubborn. Determination is positive. It feels light and it takes you far. It is willingness to change as needed and keeping an open mind. Stubbornness is a heavy feeling of refusal to budge. It's negative. It's a closed mind, and it will hold you back. So as you're looking at creativity this next week, and you're looking at what do you want to tap into and what don't you want to tap into, check in with your body. Because sometimes you can go, I'm not going to do that, and immediately there's this kind of feeling. Like you just ate a whole lot of carbs. And then there's those times when we're going to make it happen. We know we can make it happen. We know we can keep turning it, twisting it, changing it, shifting it, and we know we can create it, and we're going to persevere, and that's determination, because when that's happening, we feel lighthearted, we feel excited, we feel energized. And that's the place where we want to operate. Today, in the Christian faith, many are acknowledging Palm Sunday. And this week, Passover will be acknowledged as a creative journey that leaves the predictable walk to the road less traveled. In the Muslim faith, we are already in the midst of Ramadan. This is a religious process, program, connection, time of worship, if you want to call it that, where they fast from food, gossip, arguing, and lying. Now, I worked with a guy, a gentleman years ago, who we were out door knocking in the heat at this time of year, and he wasn't drinking any water or eating any foods till sunset that evening. And I was very concerned about him, but his faith was so strong in what he believed in he was doing and what it was doing for his very spiritual being, he was allowing himself to connect deeper in spirit. This is a time for all of us for self-reflection, for spiritual growth. It's a time to grow in moral excellence. The next time someone tries to engage you or attempts to engage you in an argument, make a different choice. Choose to be free of that type of energy. Fasting, as many of us know, as many of you know, is a way to gain greater God consciousness. when we allow the body to not have all of those wonderful mechanisms of digestion, et cetera, and we just take a break, we just take a pause, we do even intermittent fasting, cleanses the being, it cleanses the soul. It clears the mind. What a concept. Because when you want to create, you need clarity. That's very important to that idea of creation. Spiritual and mental fasting liberates us, and it creates room for our imagination and our love. So if you're not feeling those things, you may want to take a break from something. Do a little fasting. Stubbornness, determination. My first encounter that I was aware of with something or someone that was incredibly stubborn was when I was about 6 years old. We were traveling from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Fairbanks, Alaska. And we were going through Yellowstone National Park. And we are in this pathway on this road, and I remember it very clearly, and we're driving really, really slow, when out of the woods comes this big, ginormous bear. And the bear kind of walks over in front of our car and lays down to take a nap. And my father became agitated, and he began to tap the horn. And my mother has kicked into my mother mode of everything my father needs to know and everything my dad needs to do at this moment in time. And I'm in the back seat just fascinated. I mean, the bear is like right there, right outside the car. Little baby cubs are coming out, they're climbing on people's car. I mean, it was just amazing. Now, up until that point, we had seen numerous signs that said, "Don't feed the bears." But my mother got creative, and she decided that breaking the rules was okay. She should have known about that little girl in the back seat that was very impressionable, because that was my rule from that day forward. She grabs the bag of potato chips, and she starts throwing potato chips out the window at the bear over the hood of the car. Eventually, we got her attention. I'm assuming it was a female, and she turns, and so Mom's now throwing potato chips this way, and the bear gets up, and of course she's hitting my dad, Jim, drive, and we get back en route. That bear may have been stubborn, or she may have been tired, but my mother was determined. And I was in awe of that. And I wanted to ask the question about, what about all those signs that say we're not supposed to feed the bears? But I had a little bit of some insightful wisdom at the age of 6, and it was better to keep my mouth shut about that. When we accept what is, we are free to dance. If what is isn't what you need, change your thinking. That's what Ernest Holmes taught us. Change your perspective. Look at it differently. Challenges, people, issues become a part of our creative dance. And what do you do when you're dancing and there's someone on the dance floor that doesn't know what they're doing? You dance around them. That's how we handle the issues of life. That's how we handle the challenges. We dance around them. Balance, centering, being grounded, letting go of restrictive behaviors and old beliefs, allowing ourselves to create a new idea. This is creativity. This is how we step into the dance. I have a story about a little girl. At the age of 4, all she ever wanted to do was dance. All she wanted to do. And so she did. And she became very, very good at it. And she was incredibly talented, and she danced for 14 years. In her high school, she was a part of a performing arts group that did performances and things of that nature. But one day, At the age of 18, she awoke in a hospital room to discover she had been in a horrific automobile accident, and to also discover that in order to save her life, they had to take her foot. All of her dreams were crushed in a moment, in a breath. Well, she had some very wise people in her life. Family members, school associates, the teachers from the performing arts group all came to her room and assured her that she could still dance, that had not been taken away from her. They began to take posters of internationally famous dancers and put them all over her hospital room. What she said to a reporter in an interview was, "The doctors amputated my foot, but they didn't amputate my soul. And my soul needs to dance." 3 months later, at her high school graduation, Stephanie Bastos performed a dance on one leg in front of all of the other students, faculty, and family. People were so moved by what she was able to create with this disability that they began reaching out to other people. And pretty soon the word spread and people began to raise money for her. They raised money for her surgeries, they raised money for physical therapy, and they raised money for a prosthesis. Stephanie Bastos is an internationally known dancer. She has performed all over the world. She has received all types of awards and accolades. She has a dance studio where she teaches individuals with disabilities how to move, how to balance, and how to dance. She has created a sacred space for all bodies to be included. I went to her website, and she has, over to the left-hand side, the fees for the classes. And it says, sliding scale, $5 to $15. And if you can't afford the $5, reach out to me directly. How amazing. How incredible. My father always said he had 2 left feet, so certainly he wasn't going to dance. This woman only had 1 foot. So what I want you to look at in that whole piece is, what are the stories that you're telling yourself that are limiting your creativity? What are the things that are getting in the way for you? Are they coming to you from some kind of stubbornness? Or are they coming to you from voices that tried to limit you in your expression years ago? Discover what that is this week and tap in to that place of being more creative. Erich Fromm gives us this quote: "Creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties." Creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties. It takes courage and curiosity to just let go and see what's going to happen. Whether you are on the wing of an airplane, or you're about to put something on a blank piece of paper, or you're tapping into some idea of something you want to do, whatever that is, it takes courage to do that. You each have within you the same infinite light of wisdom that liberated the ancient people of Israel. The same wisdom is within all of us. The same wisdom that is within the divine is in each and every one of us. We have within us the light of the Muslims. We have within us the light of the Buddhists, the Taoists. the indigenous people, the Baha'i, and yes, even the atheists. All people were created in the image of the divine. Whether they recognize it or not, that is what has taken place. That is what is alive within each and every one of us. So if we hold on to certainty, so this is kind of talking about that idea that I want to know what's going to happen next. Well, there's a fear in that. If I need to know, I'm going to pray about this, but you know what, Spirit, you got to tell me what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to look, what all these things are going to be. It doesn't work that way. Just the very idea of stepping into creativity is letting go of that idea of knowing what's going to happen next. We want to jump into the adventure. Sometimes life looks like this. Sometimes our life path looks like a jumbled up mess of cables and wires, and we can't even figure out which way we're supposed to turn. There doesn't seem to be a clear path. And other times the way is clear and uncluttered. And if you find that frustrating, I'm really sorry, because I find it fascinating. Because I always look at it and go, now how curious is it that today it looks totally chaotic and yesterday it looked crystal clear? And I keep going forward. Carl Jung reminds us this: in all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. So sometimes the chaos isn't chaos at all. It's just what it appears to be until we get through it or past it or into it. I invite you this week to keep dancing your dance, and bless every step of the process. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says, "Suggestion has proved that the subconscious mind acts upon our thought. It is the mental law of our being and the creative factor within us." As we dance through life, we are inspired by the blessed wisdom traditions of others. We can choose to admire and honor the Muslims celebrating Ramadan. And in our honoring of this teaching of Islam, we too can fast from the negative components and things that are around us. We can turn away from thoughts that have made us feel separate from God, from Spirit. We can establish a discipline of mind that keeps us centered and aligned all the time. As I was looking at these words this week and creating this, I kept thinking, what would that feel like, even for me, to feel centered and aligned all the time? Because I don't know about you, but every now and then I want to jump off the edge and get all crazy and get all in my reaction mode and wonder what in the heck is going on. And I get back into it. I go into that spiritual mind treatment or that alignment or meditation or whatever it is I choose at that moment. But to have that 100% of the time, how incredible, how productive could we be with that? We're also reminded to choose loving awareness in all of this. Because sometimes we're stubborn because we don't see the love for self in the outcome. I become fearful or hesitant, and I begin to back up and back away because I don't know that I'm worth it or worthy or talented enough. There's a hitch in my ability to love self. So before we complete this today, I want to remind us all that love is a big component of all of this. Love. Loving individuals who are so different from ourselves. Loving situations and circumstances that are uncomfortable, that are not necessarily something we would have chosen to be a part of, but we step into it anyway, and we step into it with love. That full idea of complete abandon, that I'm going to dance through this. And I may stumble, and I may fall. And yes, I've fallen off a few tables in my life. We'll talk about that another time. But I will keep on dancing. Yes, I will. So hold yourself in love and in gentleness and compassion. And as I close today, I have something to share with you. In the late 1980s, Lieserl Einstein, Albert Einstein's daughter, donated 1,400 letters that he had written. And her agreement or her orders to the Hebrew University was that none of these were to be published for at least 20 years after his death. I have a letter that he wrote to his daughter I want to read to you before we close. Dear Lieserl, when I proposed the theory of relativity, very few understood me. And what I will reveal now to transmit to mankind will also collide with the misunderstanding and prejudice in the world. There is an extremely powerful force that so far science has not found a formal explanation to. It is a force that includes and governs all others and is even behind any phenomenon operating in the universe that has not yet been identified by us. This universal force is love. When scientists looked for a unified theory of the universe, they forgot the most powerful unseen force. Love is light, and it enlightens those who give and receive it. Love is gravity because it makes some people feel attracted to others. Love is power because it multiplies the best we have and allows humanity not to be extinguished in their blind selfishness. Love unfolds and reveals. For love, we live and we die. Love is God. God is love. This force explains everything and gives meaning to life. This is the variable that we have ignored for way too long, and maybe because we are afraid of love, because it is the only energy in the universe that man has not learned to drive at will. To give visibility to love, I made a simple substitution to my most famous equation. If instead of E equals mc squared, we accept that the energy to heal the world can be obtained through love multiplied by the speed of light squared, we arrive at the conclusion that love is the most powerful force there is because it has no limits. If we want our species to survive, if we are to find meaning in life, if we want to save the world and every scientist being that inhabits it, and every sentient being that inhabits it, love is the one and only answer. Perhaps we are not yet ready to make a bomb of love, a device powerful enough to entirely destroy the hate, the selfishness, and the greed that devastate our planet. However, each individual carries within them a small but powerful generator of love whose energy is waiting to be released. When we learn to give and receive this universal energy, dear Lieserl, we will have affirmed that love conquers all, is able to transcend everything and anything because love is the quintessence of life. Your father, Albert Einstein. This week, I invite you to tap into that love, to dance into the love, to waller in the love, to let go of stubbornness, to choose determination, to tap into that amazing muscle in you that's dying to be nurtured called creativity, and see what you can create in your life. Please pray with me. So as we just allow this talk and these words to permeate our minds and our hearts, we know that we are doing this in the presence of Spirit. We know that that divine essence, that divine energy, that God, all good, all God, is with us, dancing with us as we create and recreate every aspect of our lives. What a beautiful place it is to be, to know that we are guided and directed in this way. The universal wisdom taps into us, and all we need to do is listen and follow suit. This week, we have the opportunity to do all we want, to do all we choose, and to be all that we can be, all that we can become. And it's beautiful, and it's perfect, and it's good, and it's all God. So what I know right here, right now, is that everyone in this room and everyone who hears this message is blessed by this divinity, is blessed by this idea of creativity, and has the opportunity to shift, to change, to adopt a new perspective. How beautiful this is and how perfect it is. And so we just release these words onto the law of mind, where it is already being made manifest, where it is already coming forth, because Spirit always says yes. We let this go, we let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
Speaking of dancing, love is everything. If you feel like getting and dancing, how sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I needed the shelter of someone's arms. There you were. I needed someone to understand my ups and downs. There you were, with sweet love and devotion, gently touching my emotion. I want to stop and thank you, baby. I just want to stop and thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Close my eyes at night, wondering where would I be without you in my life. Everything was just a bore. Every place I've been seems I've been there before, but you brighten up for me all of my days. Love so sweet in so many ways. I want to stop and thank you, baby. I just want to stop and thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Sing it with me. How sweet it is to be loved by you. One more time. How sweet it is to be loved by you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.